Guys, how you doing? Denny Maheux here, Focus Coach, and today we're going to talk about one word, and the word is focus. I know I talk about it again and again, but I think I need to say it again. Met a lot of people this week, and I'm going to tell you one thing. You want to reach your goal quicker, faster, and further? You need to stop focusing on what's not working. Stop looking in the news. Stop listening to the naysayers. Stop looking at what you really want. Start creating your own reality. That's simple. The more you think about what you want, the fastest it's going to manifest in your life. That's the law. That's the law of vibration, and that's the law of attraction, and there's many other laws we can talk about. Anyway, www.focus180coaching.com. Book a complimentary session with me. We're going to clarify your goal. Make sure you got a plan of action for 2021. Hey guys, how are you today? I hope you're ready for an excellent podcast because this week we're lucky. We are meeting with a young, successful lady. Her name is Arbria Owens. She is the founder of Charisma's Realm Industries. She already written and published 3 books. She's known as a social media expert as well as a distinguished publisher. Arbria, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hi, everyone, and hi. I'm doing good. How about you?
We're doing really, really good. I'm super excited also that you take the time to come here and talk to our listener, because this topic is one I do a lot of coaching, and I know a lot of people who want to tell the story. And we're going to talk about book writing today, right? So this is pretty awesome. I want to thank you one more time for taking the time to do this and bring some value to our listener.
Oh, thank you for having me.
That's really cool. So before we start, I always give you a chance to talk a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What you like? What you don't like? Get to know you a little before we go into business questions.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm Arbria, everyone, and what I like to do, of course, write books and writing. And what kind of led me down that path is writing papers. I didn't realize that when I was in school, I really enjoyed writing essay questions than multiple choice questions. So that kind of led me down the path. And then I really love poetry. And I started writing my own poetry book, and then found someone who taught me how to actually self-publish. And that kind of just opened up the big door. I enjoy doing photography. I do photography on the side. And then I'm also an esthetician, a local esthetician here in Las Vegas. So yeah.
Really cool. And I think you mentioned to me before the call, you did dancing too, right?
Oh yes, and then I've danced. So I've danced before I walked. So that's what's really cool. My mom said before I took my steps, I was just hopping. Yeah, I've done ballet, I've done jazz. I performed. Used to dance with CSN Dance Company, and we've done like cool shows in Town Square. So yeah, and I love teaching dance as well.
Multi-talented, huh? Really cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about business. I know we're going to talk about work, but you want to describe maybe your work experience, the title, what have you done in the past, which industry did you work on, and why we're going to be talking about books today too.
Okay. I've been in a customer service for a very long time. I've been in the casino industry, and I've learned just interacting with people. It really helps when it comes to writing, because sometimes as being an author, as a writer, if you ever want to get into ghostwriting, which is probably one of the most challenging things for a writer, is ghostwriting, for example, is say like if you wanted a book published, but you don't have time to write it, or you don't know how to write it. You can hire a writer to write the book for you, but they'll have to be able to capture your voice. They will actually have to sound like you. And so that's one of the most coolest things when it comes to writing, or just having experience with multiple people, because then you're able to grasp other people's voices.
Yeah, interesting. So, what's the name? Because of my English, I might pronounce it wrong. What's the name of your company again?
It's Charisma's Realm Industries.
Charisma. Good. So, how did you get started? How long have you been doing this? Why have you decided to start your own company? Because you're pretty young, right? I don't want you to say your age, but you're a
Yeah.
young lady. You're successful too. So,
Yeah, so I just realized that I love creating, and I wanted to be able to create something for myself, meaning because I do so many things and I don't want to limit myself. So it's so funny because charisma is actually my middle name.
Is
And I'm
it?
like, I have charisma. Yeah.
That's cool.
I was like, I have charisma and I'm part of these different industries. So instead of, and I put my realm. So you guys are coming into my realm where I can serve the need to whatever industry you need help with. So I'm kind of like the creative concierge. You need help with photos for business or for publication or for website content. I can be your photographer. If you need help on a beauty side, beauty tips, or just having a need for wanting to take care of your skin and build skin health, I'm an esthetician. And then as a writer, you need help with building website information or writing a book or publishing. I'm your writer. So I kind of put all those things together. And what's so cool, my goal is eventually is to right now I'm kind of just learning everything behind the scenes for myself because eventually I want to grow a team. So I can just, only focus on one aspect where I have my writers and photographers and we're building a awesome publishing company.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, you do a lot, but usually I ask this question to the end, but I'm going to ask you right away.
Yeah.
What motivates you? Why do you do all that stuff? I mean, why? What's your
Uh
why? What's your big why,
my
actually?
big why?
Mm-hmm.
Uh serving. It sounds so crazy, but I have a desire to have multiple business, but my why is to be able to create family oriented environment and atmosphere so I can be a stop in someone else's journey. I think that's one of the best things that you can do in life is of course learn something but be able to teach and mentor and then someone do it way better than you because you're creating a legacy and then you're impacting the community and so forth. So just changing one life at a time and that life changing me. So that's the big why is leaving a legacy and being able to, give, for my family or for anyone pretty much. So,
I like what you said when you said help one life at a time or
yeah.
change one life at a time. That's powerful. That's really powerful. Good. So let's go on to publish the book question, right? So we could have talked about photography, dancing, everything, but we decided to talk about books. Why are we going to talk about books today? Publishing or writing books?
Books because everyone has a story to tell. Even if you're not a writer, if you're not in this industry, I believe it's important that everyone has a story and no one can't tell your story better than, you. And that's why we chose this topic.
Good, because I talk to a lot of people, and do I need to be an expert in my field in order to write a book?
No,
Really?
writing, I would say writing, you just have to be able to sit down and do it. When it comes to being like an expert, is when you're writing content about literature, like you're actually getting into things kind of like Homer, if anybody know who Homer is, who wrote the Odysseus. Like when you're getting into like the art of like poetry or a certain kind of style of writing, then this is where the expert comes in. But if you have a book where you just want to write, whether if you're coaching, cooking, or want to tell your life story, you just have to be able to discipline yourself to actually write.
Huh. So tell me why should I write a book? I mean, no, there's different reason for different people. But
Mhm.
how about you tell me your why? You wrote 3 books already, right?
Yes.
So tell me why you first write your own book and why other people should write a book other than the story, of course. Tell the
Sure.
story.
So I've always wanted to have a published book, and my first book was actually a poetry book. And once I realized that, oh wow, I can really do this, and it just took time for me just writing it step by step, it kind of just exploded. So, and there's so many stories. If you're someone who has a big imagination, you can create your own world and you can create, develop characters that have different experience to connect to people. If you're in nonfiction, you can be able to educate and teach and guide within those books. So when it comes to writing, I think it's really important because it's another way to reach people. You're not going to be able to speak to everybody. You're not going to be able to, shake hands or maybe have a video or have an interview. So it's another form when you are reading a book online or in your hand. It's another level of intimacy in a sense because it's a connection with that personal reader, which I think is awesome.
It is. Here's a question that's probably just for me. This one thing while you were talking, I said, why somebody, let's say I'm a cook, I'm a chef, and I want
Yes.
to write a book about a chef or cooking something. There's so many, there's thousands of books about cooking. So is it, why would I do that when there's so many other competition? People may be more qualified than I am, or people with bigger name, and all of a sudden, Denis, me, you cooking 101. Is that, why would I do that, in your opinion?
It all goes back to like earlier what I mentioned. It's no one has your voice and have your
Mm.
value. And I guess this can apply to anything, but you are value, not what you do. So if you're a chef and there's other chefs out here, there might be a technique that another chef haven't discovered, or you might have a particular audience or style that you can speak to. And that kind of goes into when it comes to writing your VIP audience, because you're going to be able to write for a genre of things, but you want to focus on your VP readers because those are the ones who are going to follow and actually want to hear what you have to say because of who you are.
Interesting. So here's another thing that I hear a lot. Why should I read a book right now? Is YouTube world, is digital, videos left, videos right. You mentioned TikTok before and everything. Why books? Isn't
Yeah.
it, are we gonna be, do you think visual is better than, what's the advantage to do more book writing these days?
Well, with writing, it doesn't have to limit yourself to hard copy. There's Kindle, there's different written texts where you can have your books online and read too. For the that younger generation who likes to just scroll or text, but then there's also us who love the still hard copy to touch and everything of the book. So you can still have the best of both worlds integrating when it comes to writing your book.
Huh. Never thought about it. Kindle is, yeah, you're right. So, what are the, okay? Let's talk about writing a book now. What's the step for somebody like me who doesn't have no clue? Say, oh, I want to write a book. Take a piece of paper, start writing. What is the steps? Can you go from the beginning for somebody who doesn't know nothing at
Mhm.
all the way to publishing?
Yes. So the first step, of course, is just having the idea, and you want to write those things down, kind of like old school, where you have like a web. To be more creative, I'll even say create a vision board of your story and your ideas, just so you can see it visually. You can touch the idea, the dream, and it's in front of you, so it motivates you more. Then after creating your idea web, you will have an outline. So if you're doing a chapter book, for example, you will actually want to create an outline for each chapter. So your work is not becoming wordy, but you can get all the information that you have in each chapter and how you want your chapter to flow, and your book will start to develop. So once you have your outline and you have your key points, then you actually start the writing process, which I always say is the hardest process because people struggle with finding time to actually write their book,
Huh.
or they get stuck and then they're just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Where sometimes you just have to take a break and then come back with a fresh pair of eyes, or don't overwhelm yourself with like, okay, I got to write like 20 pages today. Take 30 minutes out each day, because a little, I don't know if you ever heard this book called The Compound Effect. It's really great. He talks about doing a little each day and then you have a massive impact instead of doing so much in a short amount of time, which burn yourself out.
Yeah.
So just do that 30 minutes a day and then your book will start coming along. And then if you're in the groove where you're just in a writing flowing space, then write it out. So after the writing process comes the revising, where you go back, see if there's anything you want to add and take out. And then you do that a couple of times. Then the editing phase, which is the next hard part, because it's longer, the process, because you want to make sure everything is correct grammarly, things is still in context. You want to make sure everything's nice and clean. And then after your editing process comes formatting. And during the formatting process, you can actually start designing your book cover. And once you have your idea for your book cover and marketing strategy, then you go into the publishing phase where what I like to use is Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, which is kind of awesome. And you can self publish, meaning you always have access to put content and put your work out there. And then after you get everything set up with Amazon, they do all the printing part, and your book is up and people can buy, and then you just have to market after that. So that's the process.
Wow, it's a longer process than I thought. And but so here's the question that while you were talking, I'm thinking, they said I cannot do it by myself. I need an editor. I need somebody to publish for me. I need somebody to format it for me, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Especially, yeah. Because if I say, okay, I'm writing my book and at the end it's done, I can go see a publisher. It doesn't work like that. Or could
No,
it
you
work like that? It doesn't work like that.
no, you have to, if you ever want to go to like a publishing house, you have to make sure you give them a manuscript that's edited clean, like a final copy. Otherwise, because they look for those things like that. But even publishing with Amazon, I mean, you could put on Amazon because it's your work, you have more control. You can do that, but you don't want to do that because you want your book to be professional. And most likely, when a reader sees so many errors or there's just things that they don't understand, they're not gonna take time to read it.
Oh, cool. So usually, how long is the process? I know it's a kind of a silly question, but but let's say a basic book, let's say I don't know, Cooking 101, and I got my book. I start writing. How long is it? 6 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years? What do you
It
think?
it all depends on the how long you want your book and how much time you dedicate to it. So say like if you're having a 101 kind of book and you don't want to be like very extensive and like detail and like a manual, then
Hmm.
you can publish a book within a month to 2 month
Oh,
range,
really?
depending on how you are. The
Yeah.
hardest part is being consistent with writing. Personally, when I started my poetry book, I was writing 5 poems a month. But then once I got in contact with my mentor, she pushed me and I ended up birthing my book the next month after that.
Wow.
So, yes, we had to write every day.
Yeah.
So I was writing 5 to 6 poems every day, but I made sure I was intentional about it. So if I got inspired, if I was outside at the park and nature inspired me, then I pause and start writing. Or if I actually set a writing space, then I would think of a style, think of different authors and poets who have inspired me, and how can I, develop that both my own style and what I want to put in there. So
So, biggest challenge in general for people to write a book.
biggest challenge, the biggest part is writing it.
Is it right? It's finding
Biggest,
the time to do it. Is that what it is?
yeah, it's yeah, finding the time and being consistent. That's the for book publishing, consistency.
Good. No, that's good. No, that's really good. So I'm going to jump in. I call them the tough question, but it's not really tough. It's not going to be tough for you anyway. But I would like to know because you're successful. We're going to stick up maybe with the book writing. I know you wrote three already. Things that you did in the past that cost you time, money, energy, and it didn't go, or anything. Any good advice? So, hey, people, don't do it this way. Do it this way. Any advice you could say?
Like just when it comes to publishing
Writing or
or
anything about book
any-
writing, but yeah,
anything about book writing.
yeah.
Um, I would say is the best thing to do. Like the toughest part is don't compare yourself. Um, and when you're looking for inspiration, look for inspiration with the mindset of, okay, I just need to get an idea, but I don't need to imitate. I feel like sometimes we feel like we have to imitate, or where we look at, if we don't have the criteria, let's say I don't have the credibility, I don't have the experience, I'm not an expert. We get so caught up on comparing ourselves, or trying to make our work to fit this standard, that we lose sight of actually just writing and, your voice. You're imitating someone else's voice and not yourself. So I can say that's like the hardest part when it comes to book publishing and book writing, and just trust that what you have to say matters.
Yeah, that's powerful. Very good. In your opinion, three characteristic human trait that you have to be successful, that you have to have in order to be successful book writer, book publisher.
I would say endurance, creative, and consistency.
Okay, so let's talk about endurance because I expected the last two, but not the first one. Tell me about the first one. Endurance. What is it? What do you mean?
Endurance, meaning that even when you're tired, even when you feel like, okay, let's just say I've spent six, almost 8 months on trying to write this book, and you're at the point that you want to give up because maybe you're just not meeting the goal or time frame that you expected to get this book out or to write. This is where endurance have to come in. This is where you're going to have to talk to yourself and be like, okay, am I going to quit because I didn't meet a deadline, or I'm going to do what I have to do to move forward? And this is where you have to push through. Kind of like when you're working out, you get to that one point, you feel the muscle burning. Do you stop or do you push through so you can get the results? So you have to be able to have an endurance mentality.
Interesting. What's the what's the one thing you do every single day to grow as a woman, a young woman, a young
Mhm.
entrepreneur, or as a book writer? What do you do every day that makes you better than the day before? You didn't
Um,
expect that one, huh? You didn't
yeah.
expect that question.
I try to, at least in the morning, that's like I try to, but if I don't get it to the morning, I will pause. But every day I try to uh be on one accord spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. If that means waking up a little bit early to let my mind unclutter so I can be open to what the day has, that's what I do. So I can have more control of my patterns. Because sometimes, especially with my generation, we're you start to see that everyone's emotional. And sometimes we can let our emotions get in the way, and that actually drains us mentally and physically. So then you don't have the capacity to execute multiple things. So really just taking that time, self-care, but trying to make sure I'm all one accord. So I guess you can say being centered and
Yeah, very good. So what's next for you? What's your future goals? Maybe what's the next? Let's say I ask this to my clients actually. What do you want to? Where do you want to be 7 years from now, or something like that?
7 years from now, 7 years
Awesome.
that's exciting. 7 years from now, i'm I want my publishing company to be established, because my goal for that is to have multiple departments where have a magazine area. I want to bring back letters. I want to bring back letters. I think it was so amazing. I didn't get to experience it, but I think it's so amazing getting a letter from someone. And what if you can't write? You come to my publishing company, ghostwrite, and we write the letter for you, and we mail it, and it's still lovely. Kind of like a Hallmark's gift, like a Hallmark's card, but instead it's a
Yeah.
letter. And then eventually I would like to have interns, but I would like to reach a place where I'm successful enough where I can pay my interns and they can have an environment to explore their creativity in writing and in photography. Yeah.
Good. Here's a easy one for you. Two books that you love, professional and personal, if you have one.
Personally, um,
But let's start with the business one first.
okay, there's so many, but I can say the one that really inspired me was The Go Giver.
Go Giver. Why? Why do you like that book?
Because you go, it's a simple, nice read, but I like how it challenged the mind. But it gives you like, I think like 8 points of how to be successful. But it talks about the more you give, the more successful you'll be. Because when you're always thinking about giving, it kind of goes full circle. You're giving, someone else is giving onto you. But I really like, my favorite part is when he talks about value. And the two characters are at a restaurant, and this guy, he has an Italian restaurant. He's serving people and it's busy, but he's full of joy. And the one of the characters didn't realize that was the owner. And he's like, how does he, have the capacity just to be working and doing so much but just be so joyful? And he tells the guy, he's like, it's about the value. He's like, I know I'm value, and so if I'm value, what can I bring value to others? So his whole restaurant is about bringing a value experience. So people go, yeah, the food tastes good, but people go for the experience. And I was like, wow.
Uh, Good. Do you have one really quickly about personal book that you like more than others? I mean, just like it could be nonfiction, fiction, or something.
Um, so I'm a big literature nerd. So anything from like the classic of romanticism, like Percy Shelley, Wordsworth, uh, back to like Homer, Dante's Inferno, um, Sir Gawain. Like I really love literature. And it's so cool to see the poetry of the time. Charles Dickens. Everyone knows the Christmas Carol, but Hard Times is a really good one. I just love literature.
Oh,
The
good.
classic.
I got some reading to do. I can tell you that much. What, what's your favorite quote?
um, my favorite quote is it's from Ender's Game. It's also a book and it's a movie, but it says it's not about winning, it's about how you win.
Nice.
I was like,
Nice.
oh, every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, my soul.
Good. So we're just about to conclude this podcast. So if anybody would like to contact you, and what's the best way to contact you? Actually, I know I'm going to put the information on the on the information below, but tell us. I call it promo time. So tell us. Go ahead, my dear. Just tell us why should I call you and give you money or something.
Okay, first and foremost, when you work with me, I like to create an experience. Going back to how describing my business charisma's realm industry, you're coming to my realm where I can meet your need. And pretty much how that came is I want people to feel royal, like they're royalty. Like we're in a monarch. You're in my monarch where you can feel like a king, a queen, a prince or princess, and I'm a creative concierge. So whatever you need as for business and you need a creating idea, I'm here to help you. Whether if that's a strategy, if that's a marketing strategy for social media, if that's to put a book together. And you can reach me on Instagram at k.realmind. You also can email me at arbria at charismasrealmind.com. You can also call or text my business phone and Facebook at Arbria Owens. And those are different ways. And also you can go to my website too, which is it's charismarealmind.com. There you go.
No, no problem. That's good. And see your phone number. I'll write it on the screen underneath so people can. What's the phone? If you, the business one, of course.
Okay, it's 702-637-0405.
Very good. So I will put this on the description below so people can reach you and everything. I want to say thank you very much, but don't go away because I just need a few things to say and we'll shut it down. But thank you very much. Really, really interesting actually. Now I kind of want to write a book now. So
Oh,
but I don't have the time. No, no, no. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I have the time.
you like
I didn't say that to the right person, right? No, cool. But hey, guys, if you're listening to this, if you're successful in your business, if you know anybody who's successful and you want to become a speaker in this podcast, just make sure that you contact ZLE. I'll put her information below. She's the one who's going to tell you what we're looking for, how we do this, and what's the process. So we're always looking for people who want to build value. Also, I want to say, if you like what Arbrias said today, if she was good and if you think she's good, well, take the time to write a comment there. Take the time to share this podcast with everybody else, because the bigger we become, the more people we can help. And well, usually always, again, Arbria, thank you very much. You're awesome. I mean, I got clients for you, by the way. I'm going to send you a bunch of people because I got a lot of people who want to tell their stories. So thank you for taking the time and come in and share with us your knowledge, experience. This was awesome.
having me. I really
Hey,
appreciate it.
hey guys, in the meantime, I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, I always say it, be well and stay focused on what you really, really, really want. See ya.